Hello, listeners. Bonjour, aloha, howdy, good day, mate. This is the Potato Parle, episode 5, I think. Yes,
You already forgotten the episode number?
yes. And for my special guest is the cinephile himself, the king of all knowledge of movies. Pretty much
That's a
someone
terrible
who,
stretch.
someone who knows more than me, my boy, Ethan.
Hello, hello, hello. And you forgot to mention punctual.
As always. We're recording at the usual time of 3 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday. Yep, this is when all this is recorded.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Mm-hmm. What could happen this week? Who knows? Anyways, today's topic, I'll let the man himself introduce.
Bro, you're putting way too much praise on me, especially this being your podcast.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about our favorite movies because I love to talk about movies, and a podcast seems like an
Mm-hmm.
appropriate place to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'll start us off since I am the host. So
Please do.
we're naming our top five.
Mhm.
And then we're going to name also our five mentionable before we go into the big reveal of our number one favorite movie. So,
Mm-hmm.
number five on my list is, of course, my style Star Wars The Phantom Menace.
Ah,
I know.
an exquisite choice, my friend.
I am surprised. I thought you would hate that movie, being honest.
No,
It's
dude, I love the prequels.
oh my goodness, it makes my list feel a little bit more better. Yeah. Yeah. That's nice.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, you talk first because I definitely don't want to talk about what I like about the prequels. Tell me what you like about the prequels, and then I'll put my 2 cents
I
in.
love the prequels cuz for me I felt they showcased like the idea of they explored more of the Jedi lore of Star Wars, and that's always what
Mm-hmm.
was more appealing to me. I'm not taking away the smuggling aspect, the government system. As I got older, is still amazing to me. But when I was a
Oh,
little
absolutely.
kid, and you saw like, those lightsabers flying, you see these guys jumping around, you see the Force, and you learn about these midichlorians. You're like, whoa!
Yeah.
It was just amazing. So I love how even though the movie even the movies for all ages, I love how it just really felt great to be a little kid watching the prequels.
Uh, I I didn't watch this. I think I saw my first Star Wars movie when I was 11. So I
Hmm.
didn't see any of the prequels when I was super duper young, but I could definitely imagine watching Phantom and being blown away.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. And for the record, why I said I get why you'd think I'd hate that, but I think the prequels are cool. I think they have a very unique position in the Star Wars world, and I mean they're better than the sequel trilogy because at the very least they knew how they were going to end it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so do you have anything more to say?
No, that was it. I'm very simple to the point with these.
This is true. This is true. All right, so my number five movie is wait, hold on. I can't mess this up
That's fine.
because there's a major difference. My fifth favorite movie is excuse me. I get shaky when I'm doing talking like this. Is the 1971 absolute hit Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory,
Oh my
star-
sweet baby, that's beautiful. Sorry, continue.
starring Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka.
Ooh.
Now, a couple of things. One, I'll actually state that I am not a fan. I'm not a major fan of musicals, especially because as someone who loves acting
Hmm.
and is in the set tries to be in the thespian group that is contained at our school, but it's really hard to do that in my opinion when the only thing that we do is musicals. I'm not
Yes,
dissing on
of
musicals, and
course,
I
of
understand
course.
and I understand why we do it, but I definitely think that it doesn't benefit people who can't sing and which like me or just in general. With with that being said, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is the greatest musical of all time.
Mm.
Um, pu- there are a lot of great movie songs, and actually, this isn't the. I'm going to mention more
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
movies that have songs on them, songs that I love. Pure Imagination is
Oh my gosh.
probably the greatest song of all time.
Dude, I so for a talent show I actually wrote a trumpet piece of that, and
Uh
I will
huh.
say it was one of the best performances just because I played that song, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so powerful. I cried every time I
It's
like.
it is powerful, it is simplistic, it is angelic. And that again,
Mm-hmm.
we're just talking about that one song. Wait till we get to the rest of the dang movie.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
actually, interestingly enough, I rewatched it like 6, 7 months ago. And in my mind, it was a 10 out of 10. And I actually was worried because at the beginning, I'll admit, it's a little slow. It's a little non sequitur. The scenes with Charlie's teacher is really weird and like
Yeah.
in no way in place. But I
Yeah.
mean,
Cause. Mhm.
even that small complaint I have is blown away by the second Gene Wilder comes on the screen.
Mhm.
He steals the show.
Does.
Every line of dialogue is fantastic. Every song is beautiful. Every character is awesome. Like the weakest character is probably Charlie and his grandpa, but that's only because they're like the definition of a protagonist, so they're not even unenjoyable. They're not enjoyable.
Mhm.
Unenjoyable.
Mhm.
I can't speak.
Ah. Good point. Good point. Great movie. Great movie.
Yeah, please, your number four, my good sir.
My number four, still a little bit still on the Star Wars train. Star
Oh
Wars: The
snap!
Attack of the Clones. I'm sorry to be in the prequel still, but
Hey, you know what? You know what? It's fine. I
don't.
generally. Oh no, no, no. Go on.
I'll promise that not all of my list is Star Wars.
I
A
was gonna
good portion
say
of it, but not all of it. I
number.
diverse it up, and you'd be surprised on some of the things on here. But yeah,
I can't wait.
Attack of the Clones, I love it because again, it expands on that lore. And two, uh, when I watch movies, I watch them as a little kid. I don't walk in there as like as an intellectual or anything such as that. I walk in there as
Hmm.
ooh pretty colors or ooh pretty music. So when
Hmm.
I saw that giant arena of just Jedi's fighting droids and like just
Yeah.
seeing a war happen, it's like the coolest experience for me. And I remember vividly first time watching with my father, and we were just sitting there looking at it like this this is good. I like this, and my dad goes,
My
yeah.
quick
Mhm.
question: Have you watched the Clone Wars?
Yes, love that as
Okay,
well.
so
Love
that
that as
that's
well.
that's what I was going to bring up because it's very interesting. There, real quick, Attack the Clones is episode 3, right? Just
It's
so.
actually episode two. It's that
Oh, is it
hmm
interesting?
it's right.
So,
It's the
uh,
precursor to yeah.
okay, it's interesting you say that then because as I still great opinion and I do agree it's not bad one, but a lot of people claim number 2 to be the weakest of the prequels, and
Yeah,
what I
true.
most often hear is people claiming either 1 or 3 is their prequel, and if someone says number 3 is their favorite prequel, they've watched the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
Absolutely, which
that's
is
most likely
something I
true.
haven't done.
Hmm. I mean, I like number two more than number one because number two, it even though people may argue that it has a lot more going on because it isn't just one story, it's more of like a thousands different things happening. I enjoy that chaos of that kind of like this is a galaxy. Now there isn't just one thing happening. It's not like we're just even though we're following the venture of one kind of kid, the saga of I think because as he said, it's a Skywalker saga. It's a really great name for the
Mhm.
last one, where we're following the Skywalkers and we're following Anakin as he deals with all these things. But on top of that, there's also a republic happening. There's governments. There's wars, and I like that it's just these different things going on, and I enjoy that. And that kind of multiplicity in plot or in other side stories happening is amazing to me. So that's why I like it more than number one, because number one is great for its one linear path, but I like the just tree that Attack of the Clones has to it.
I fully agree, and I won't sit there and claim that episode 2 is the best movie to do this, but
Of course, of course.
I do agree that when a movie is able to take a lot of branching
Mm-hmm.
paths and do it at least somewhat well, it is very,
Mm-hmm.
very cool to watch. I fully
Mm-hmm.
agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, funny enough, that's a really good segue to my number 4.
Ooh.
Um, and this is going to be, if anyone watches this, this is the part where if you know me well, everyone's gonna cringe, and if you don't know me well, you're gonna give me the eyebrow. But number 4 is the movie that sits at as my favorite horror movie,
Ooh.
just in time for Halloween, which is
Mm-hmm.
Saw 6.
Wow.
Now, real fast, I won't go into intense details, mostly
Mm-hmm.
because we'd be here all day. But Saw spoilers up ahead. So you might be asking, why is Saw 6? Why is a Saw movie your favorite movie, let alone 6? Well,
Mm-hmm.
the Saw franchise holds a special place in my heart because it's what got me into horror movies that I love so much now.
Oh wow.
About 2 years ago, through a YouTuber called Dead Meat, I
Mm-hmm.
found a love of horror movies, and I first did that by watching his kill counts on the Saw franchise.
Hmm. That
Now,
is.
why is 6? Why is 6
Mm-hmm.
my favorite?
Mm-hmm.
Because it has all the elements of a good Saw movie, which is interesting characters,
Yeah.
harsh traps.
Mm-hmm.
I myself, if you don't get like this, I fully understand, but I am someone who likes good gore in a movie.
Ooh. Good point. That is good.
And so Saw 6 absolutely delivers. And
Mm-hmm.
then here's where Saw 6 gets the edge. It was released in 2009,
Okay.
and it is a direct response to the 2008 housing crisis.
Wow.
Its plot is political. The main character is an insurance salesman
Mm-hmm.
who was finding loopholes to deny people and get. He was a greedy businessman. That's why he's in Jigsaw's game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it gives an almost sense of ironic humor while at the same time offering the most interesting plot of any Saw movie. It's so strange, but it works so well for it. And that's why I really, really love it. I love it a lot.
I did not. I never actually watched a Saw movie. I saw clips of one, but
Mhm.
I gotta watch them at some point. I gotta watch. Maybe
I
see them. Hmm?
I Here's what I'll say. The Saw movie, if you want to talk about 100% purely traditionally, if you want to judge a movie based on the traditional definition of the word good, then
Mm-hmm.
watch the first Saw movie and call it a day. But if you want to see something that's interesting and out of the box and ridiculous and just kind of a goofy mess that comes together to make something really awesome, then you need to watch all 8 Saw movies.
Dang, I got. You know what? I'm not the. As I said before, I'm not a guy who goes, man, this is a good movie. I'm the type of guy who goes, I like that movie. So I think I gotta watch all of them now.
Yeah,
You've given me the quest now.
I absolutely love them. Saw 7 is garbage. Your turn.
Well, to get out of my Star Wars loop and enter in a place you may not have seen, my third favorite movie, wouldn't guess it, Forrest Gump.
Yo, you want to know something?
Yeah.
Forrest Gump is on the list of movies I know I need to watch but haven't. But you can totally spoil it for me.
I'll try. No, I'll try not to because even though there's a bunch of memes out there, you gotta watch it for yourself. It was the one I never. The only Tom Hanks movie I ever really watched was The Polar Express. That's the only one I ever saw.
Polar
So when
Express is
I,
on.
which is great, but when I got to see Forrest Gump for the first time, I watched it. Yeah, I was just in my bed, just scrolling through Netflix, like, huh, I never watched Forrest Gump, and I watched it. I loved it. It's a
I
beautiful story. In Tom.
I have
Mm,
I believe, if I remember correctly, that is considered by many to be Tom Hanks's best movie, his best performance, and he's given a lot of good ones, so that's high praise.
yeah, I loved it. It's a feel good movie that can make you be sad for a second, and I like that.
Hey, that is that's what movies are supposed to do at the end. They
Mhm.
get a reaction out of you, and if they
Mhm.
can get a wide arrangement of them, you know it's a good
Mhm.
movie.
Yeah, true. It was just a great movie. It showcased Tom Hanks' acting ability to the top notch, and it's just it. Yeah, as I said before, it just makes you walk out smiling, like you had a box of chocolate. Yeah,
Ah,
a little fun,
uh-huh.
a little fun. Okay,
Little
now you,
reference there.
now you, Ethan. Yeah.
Next up for me, now this is a movie. When you first pitched it to when we first sat down and we said we were going to do movies and all that.
Mhm.
At first, I was actually thinking about not about rearranging my top five to
Oh
have this
wow.
movie not on there. Excuse me, I
Oh
got to
wow.
sneeze actually.
That's fine. That's fine. Sneeze break, sneeze break. It is the sneeze break, sneezing time.
Oh god damn
Sneeze
it!
it
No,
out.
now I'm not going to be able to sneeze.
No
Now
sneeze.
it's just going to sneak up on me later in mid
Mhm.
sentence. But
It's gonna be
anyway,
great.
so it was a movie I was actually considering taking off
Wow.
because I haven't watched it in a while, and the last
Mhm.
time I did, while I still enjoyed it, I didn't like lose my mind. But then I remembered the fact that when I saw this movie in theaters, within the first 10 seconds of the movie being on, I was actually shaking with excitement in my seat to the point where my
Whoa.
family looked at me and was like, "Ethan, calm your ass down, boy."
Oh, I know that. I know that feeling.
And
Yeah.
that movie was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, that's a good one.
First off, let's get it out of the way. The best superhero movie of all time. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong. I love There are strong contenders, key of which I will say Christopher Nolan's Batman movies.
they're good.
They're good, but we have to be honest with ourselves and we have to say that the best superhero movie of all time is Spider-Verse. The animation don't even there's so many ways you can break this down. It's an amazing plot. The
It
plot is
is.
I'm not gonna say the plot is wildly unique. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a Spider-Man
Of
movie, and we've
course.
seen that done a couple of times. But the plot comes along fantastically because of this cast of characters that are jaw-dropping. Every one of them is given the exact amount of care and detail, whether they're a minor character, a comic relief, or whatever. And
Hmm.
oh my god, the animation.
Oh,
I'm not even, for the record, I'm not that much of an animation buff. My biggest passion in animation is actually stop motion.
hmm.
But oh my god, the mix of 2D and 3D and all the visual styles, how
Crazy.
Penny Parker is an anime girl, how Peter Porker is like a 1940s
Hmm.
Looney Tune. It all comes together, and all the visual details with one of the best ones. Do you remember the scene where where they're breaking out of the headquarters and Peter B. Parker grabs a bagel?
Yes. Yes.
There's an amazing detail
Mm-hmm.
when they start running away, he tosses the bagel behind him, and if you look very closely, you see the bagel hit the guy, and a little comic bubble sound effect of bagel pops up.
I didn't.
And that's
I don't think
another thing. The fact that they transferred a comic book to the visual medium so
it
flawlessly.
was.
Again, like I said, there was a part of me that was like, I don't know, is this still one of my favorites? But then I remembered how just much care and craft went into this, and I
Hmm.
was like, oh,
Hmm.
absolutely, absolutely.
For sure. I mean, as someone who's trying to enter the comic book scene a little bit, because I won't be able to do it now, but I know in college I'm gonna try to get into it more and more. So, and I watch a lot of people who do explanations of that, and with just from my own knowledge, the way they portrayed every single of those characters was the most correct way I've ever seen it. Miles
Oh,
Morales, they did it
oh,
perfectly of what his
absolutely.
His
Ab-
character as this new kid on the block who's like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's exactly out of the comics. I'm actually watching a someone tell the story again and explain it, and luckily for this podcast, I watched it like a few minutes ago, and it exactly is what happens. He's dealing with this new scene where he's the new Spider-Man, but he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just panicking. He's like,
yeah.
I'm here, but I don't know what to do. And watching his character develop and watching him learn and figure things out, it's beautiful because a lot of us can relate because we're the young generation can relate to, like, we don't know what we're doing. We're just making it up
Yeah.
as we go. So being able
Mm-hmm.
to see that and see that progress is just a beautiful storytelling on their part. I loved his character. I loved all the other characters and how what they brought to each kind of aspect of what to learn from this movie. This movie is a great like teacher, really. I felt a lot of the characters taught many different things, what's his name?
Peter
Spider
Porker.
Ham. Peter Porker Spider Ham. He's a great
Yeah.
example of comic relief. And the guy who played him,
John
I,
Mulaney. Oh, John
I love
Mulaney's a
him.
god.
I love him. He
He's a comedy god.
he is. I love his just acting of. I don't know why, but I love when people act that era where they're just like 40s, like, hey, he's
Oh
here,
yeah,
yeah.
no,
I love
no.
that.
I remember I wasn't super into the John Mulaney fandom when that
Mm,
happened, but I do
hmm
remember that there had been jokes about the fact how John Mulaney sounds like a 1940s radio announcer,
I
and
love
so
it.
when he was announced to play that role, I do recall that being some hype. What? Do you have a problem with cartoons? Your go, my friend.
Okay. Okay. Number two, for what I believe is the second best comic book movie, just because it's not the best. It's the best in my heart, and not literally, because there is one problem with it, and I'll explain why it's it. So my second
I
favorite.
no, no, no. I totally you don't have to explain. I totally get
No, I gotta
a
explain this
favorite
one.
movie
I
that's
should
not.
explain this. I should
Yeah.
explain this one. It's Avengers Endgame. I gotta say it. One of us had to say it, and I'm
Oh,
the one to say it.
interesting.
I'm gonna tell you because I think I know where you're gonna go. It's a fantastic movie if you
Mhm.
watched all the Avengers movie. It's just fact. If you do not watch the Marvel movies, it's not a good movie for you. I mean, I'm not saying in a way it's visually beautiful, but for it to be truly experienced to its full extent, you have to be that kid who watched all of them, that adult who watched all of them. You had to be with it. So I understand that some people be like, it's low because they didn't watch it, and there's just people not interested in Marvel. It's not an entry movie. Like you can't be on your first day like
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch
no, no,
Endgame.
no, no. I get you.
But
I
yeah, yeah. But as someone who did do that, and I saw Endgame, and it's amazing. You're
mhm.
just losing it. You're like, what is
Oh,
happening?
I couldn't agree more.
And
And it's
and
interesting.
that.
Oh,
Mhm.
no, go on.
No, you continue. You continue.
Oh no, it's interesting that well, all I'm saying is that it's interesting that you said it's beautiful because as you said myself, I'm a movie nerd, and
Hmm
the Marvel movies amongst the like elitist movie people have a fascinating reputation, and there actually is an ongoing debate about whether or not they actually can count as cinema, and I in the
Really.
most traditional sense. And
hmm
one thing that both of us will admit, we love comic book movies and we'll be the first to admit this. Comic book movies generally, as a rule of thumb, aren't that visual. Live action ones aren't that visually appealing, mostly because
Really.
they're not they're really not supposed to be. I mean, you're
I
going
think
to
it
watch.
depends. I think it depends. I will argue, but yes, like the Avengers, not really. I will agree on that. But
Exactly, because
mhm,
we don't need long cinematic shots of like New York in the first
mhm,
Avengers
mhm,
movie. We need to talk with these characters. But I will fully agree with you, and I will say that Endgame is an honest to God beauty of a film.
it
And not
so
even
is.
necessarily because it's a beauty visually, but it on a craftsmanship level, how much effort was put into it,
Mhm.
that is just god tier.
Exactly, exactly. And just it's one scene that always gets me. It's the scene when Casimir, everyone comes in for Casimir when they just open up the portal,
Uh,
everyone walks through,
uh,
but then they start
Goosebumps.
running, and you're like, I saw that movie in theaters. dude.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Oh, no, same here, dude.
theaters are going
Um,
crazy. You're like in your seat going, what is happening? I'm
I'm
losing it.
I absolutely had goosebumps, and I may have shed a tear. I may have shed an honest to God tear.
I said a single tear, and that was the first one I ever shit.
And it's the last one I ever shed. No,
Just for
but
that.
no,
Okay.
for real.
Yeah.
I agree. It is something. It is
Because
absolutely
it's
something.
like we've been here the entire time. We like for people who watch all of them, it's like we have waited for this moment, and it's
Oh,
just this is the calamity of how many like a decade was it? I don't know or
I think it
something.
was just over. I think it was just over a decade, like close to 11 years, if I remember
Just
correctly.
like we spend all the time and we get and they reward us, and I will say that was one of the best rewards for just people who watched all of it. That I would say it was beautiful. It was great.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
it truly is. It's had its ups and downs, yeah, but it
Of
is
course,
truly incredible. I agree that they managed to pull off that so flawlessly. How
agreed.
did that, the fact that they went from Iron Man to that,
Hmm.
it's just
Hmm. It's
it's
insane.
mind-boggling.
It is. It really is.
Couldn't
Now
agree more.
you. Now you, my friend. Now you.
All right, so for my second favorite movie, this movie is here because similar to how I said Saw is the movie that got me this, I would actually say this movie is what got me into movies. And what I mean by
Wow.
that is that what I mean by that is this like super these people on Twitter and people who have letterboxed, these people who like movies are their life. They don't just
Mm.
enjoy movies, they analyze movies, they take care of movies. They watch movies. And keep in mind, I don't mean that in some elitist manner. I think it's
Of
totally
course.
stupid when these guys act like they're better than anyone else. But I'm just referring to people who take movies very seriously. And this movie was the first movie that made me go, oh, I see why. And that is a movie called The Florida Project.
Ooh, never heard
It came
this
out
one.
in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a story of poverty
Ooh.
told from the viewpoint of a child. It is
Ooh.
about a woman and her daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and they live. This is what sells it. They live in a hotel,
Hmm.
just scraping by day to day,
Mm-hmm.
barely being able to afford rent, as they call it, but in reality, it's just their hotel fines.
Yeah.
In a hotel that is walking distance from
Oh wow.
it, it is that it's such a visually fantastic setup, and then we get into the story, and the plot is just beautiful. The
Mm-hmm.
ending makes you want to cry. Willem Dafoe gives a performance that to this day is probably referred to as one of the largest Oscar snubs of all time. He didn't get
Wow.
nominated for best supporting actor when he absolutely deserved it.
Dang.
It is a movie that best word I could use to describe it is probably ethereal, because the whole time I felt like I didn't feel like I kept having to remind myself that I was watching a movie and not experiencing something.
That is powerful.
It, it is just beautiful, man.
That's beautiful. I mean, just from the description, I can't watch this. It's I believe you how beautiful it was, but I can't take movies that are just sad. And it probably isn't just sad, but it's just I can't take that.
I would definitely be lying to you if I told you the last like 20 minutes aren't rip your heart out sad.
Oh, I can't handle that. I can't handle that for 20 minutes, man. I have I have a
Yeah,
weak heart when it comes to sadness for that long, man.
it
Oh my
just
god.
it is a gut punch. And for the record, it's something interesting. That is a movie by a movie studio called A24, which
Oh.
is probably the Hail the Virgin Mary, that's the word, is probably the Virgin Mary of like elite film students.
Yes, it
And
is.
this, in retrospect, is considered to be many by one of considered to be one of their weaker films.
Wow.
But it's just the fact that that stuck with me, and all the things that I mentioned previously. That is why it sits comfortably as
Mm,
my second favorite movie of all time.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, before we reveal our number one movies, we're gonna go. We're gonna go through our bottom
Pop,
five
pop through some honorable mentions.
honorable mentions. We're doing five of them. So, um, yeah, we're just gonna keep doing alternative. Just keep it going. For my number 10, for my honorable mention, Return of the Jedi. I
I tell you,
it's there because I loved it. It's a great movie. It's my favorite out of the originals, just because it's a beautiful
really.
come. Hmm.
Oh wait, no. What am I talking about? That's my favorite of Brain Dead. Yeah, I fully agree.
It's a beautiful. It's a lovely story of how they thought it was going to be the end. So like, you know what? Let's wrap it up nice. You have the
Uh huh.
fun Ewoks. You have
Oh, the
the
Ewoks are awesome.
beautiful celebration in the end, and then you have the touching send off of the father and son. And it was just beautiful to see that, even though they were fighting each other for all these years, because we only can guess how long they've been fighting each other. Now that they're together, this father who thought his children died, he lost everything, got to see his
Mm-hmm.
son for one last time before it was
Yeah.
over, and it's just
Oh,
beautiful. It's
preach,
just beautiful.
brother. Yeah,
It's just beautiful.
absolutely.
It's just beautiful.
Um, I I actually didn't really set these up in numerical order, but I just popped them in
That's
there.
fine.
I just did them. So I'll say that my number 10 will go to we'll go to this was a chuckler. A little movie called 27 Dresses.
Ooh.
It it is a 2000s rom-com by every definition.
No.
It's sappy, it's goofy, it's really funny, but I have good memories of it. It was we had it on DVD when we lived at my dad's house and no internet. I
Hmm.
just think it's one of the when it comes to cheesy rom-coms, I definitely think it's one of
Mm,
the best.
that's nice. Nice. My next honorable mention, I guess they're technically in order. For like my number nine, you could say is the Skywalker Saga, which is the last movie. No, is there a Skywalker Saga? I don't remember the
No,
exact.
the Skywalker Saga is
Is
the
the video
rest
game I'm thinking of? What's the name of the last movie they
episode.
released?
Are you referring to episode 9?
Yes.
That was Last Jedi. No,
No, it
no,
wasn't Last Jedi. It
that was A.
is. What
It's
is the
something.
last movie they released Star Wars? It was
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. What it was. That's my number nine because again, visually amazing. When I saw that in theaters, and you see these just bouquet
I
of starships and stuff flying through, going ham. It's just amazing to witness,
it's
and I
funny that
loved it.
it's funny that you mentioned that because that's actually my least favorite Star Wars movie, and
Real, I'm not surprised.
I'm already thinking that you and I should do another episode ranking Star Wars movies, but we'll get to that at a later
That'll be
date.
that'll be later. Day.
We'll
Then
get to that later.
we'll do that. That's the May 4th special.
Oh, absolutely,
We'll
absolutely.
do that as the May 4th special. That's on the
Oh yeah.
thing.
All right,
Kids,
you heard it here. You heard it here, folks.
hold me to
Uh,
this. I will.
all right, next up, I guess it would be ninth. I'm going to
Yeah.
say now, if Saw 6 is my favorite horror movie, what
Mm-hmm.
I would say, in my opinion, is probably the greatest horror movie of all time.
Ooh.
Came out last year.
What is you
Uh,
gonna say?
which actually no, that I just lied because Halloween is the best horror movie. But
Mm,
my
yeah.
number 9 is The Lighthouse.
Ooh, I've heard about it. I've heard about it.
Yeah, it is a movie that it is black and white. It has a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning it's almost a square, and the only humans we really interact with is Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson.
Oh,
If you want a movie that will make you laugh, will make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, if confuse the hell out of you, it
oh,
is it is this movie can be best described as a sensation and a strange one at that.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, actually,
Yep.
but I would remind everyone, I just wrote down my list of my favorite movies right before this. So,
Mhm.
um, I forget. I stopped writing a number after I think the last one I did. So, My next honorable mention is Charlie Brown, but the Christmas one. I'm terrible in remembering names.
Oh, so you're referring to the short, not the Peanuts movie that happened a few years ago?
Yes, I'm referring to the short, which kind of
You know what?
always fit.
The Christmas short? Yeah, I bet you that news that you heard the other day broke your heart.
When I found out
It's
that they
not
were.
airing on ABC.
Yep, I was so mad. You don't know how mad.
I
It was a family
uh
tradition, and we're like, what really? They took
for
this
the
from me.
record, for the record, you can go straight. They the Apple Plus will have has it for free to stream. You don't have to buy it, but I do agree it's kind of BS that it's not on ABC.
It so much is because that was the I that I you know that's his own rant, but I'm kind of mad at ABC because I
Oh,
understand that it wants to represent a different generation, but I feel that it would also help by making sure that generation remembers where it came from.
oh
Because
no.
I feel like the people who look at Freeform would also remember, like, oh, I used to remember watching Charlie Brown and all that, and they're just like, eh.
Well, I don't think it was ABC that chose to. I think it's the fact that ABC is a Disney company and
Um,
Apple is the one who bought the rights to the Peanuts.
dang it.
I don't think it's ABC getting
I,
tired of them. I don't think they I legitimately don't think it's just because they don't have the
hmm,
rights anymore.
hmm.
But
I
either way you cut it, it sucks. I agree.
Yeah, yeah, like dang it, why can't we all get along and just do what we usually do?
Absolutely
Yeah,
sucks. All right, next up, what is this? This is 8. This is
who
number 8.
knows? We just keep going.
Yeah, fair. This one absolutely goes to National Treasure. Uh,
Ooh,
I love, dude. I love Nicolas Cage. I think he's an
great man,
amazing actor,
great man.
and I I I never get. There is one time I am patriotic towards America, and that is during this movie. I mean, it's funny. It has a
Hmm.
fantastic plot.
Hmm.
It is. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's the closest we've gotten to Indiana Jones since the first Indiana Jones movie.
That's a good point. That's a good
It's
argument.
I love it so much. And for the record, the sequel isn't. I think it's just a smidge worse, but not terrible. If you put on National Treasure 2, I'm not gonna complain.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
All
Gosh
right,
dang. No, you messed up my list. You don't scrap everything I had on before. The next honorable mention that I totally forgot about because I'm remembering this as we speak. Bring up
yeah.
Indiana Jones. It is for me Indiana Jones and the I gotta remember this correctly. The Last Crusade. I loved it. That's my
Yes,
favorite Indiana
yes,
Jones. I
yes.
I
Finally,
I
it's the best. It's the best Indiana Jones movie. I
wait.
fully
To
agree.
remember, it's the one with his father, correct?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
then
yes.
I love it. I love Sean Connery. I love the idea of Indy's dad being this nerd who's just like, I'm
Uh-huh.
just here
Oh,
doing my
dude,
science.
I couldn't agree more, my guy.
Oh my
It's
god,
so good.
it was one of my
Uh,
most favorite portrayals of Indiana Jones because
oh
it's
yeah,
him being
Elton's
this.
great.
It's I feel like this is one of his most goofiest roles because he's acting like the son who has to deal with his old dad, where it's like, oh dad, and he's like,
I fully agree.
yeah, it's fun.
Um, next one, second to last one on this honorable mention, I
Hmm.
will say that that goes to the perks of being a wallflower.
Ooh,
It it is the one movie that is better than the book.
dang,
Mostly, I say that mostly because major spoiler.
that's
Um,
fine.
the kid, I can't remember the main character's name.
Hmm.
Logan. Logan? No, that's the guy who played. Anyway, the main character has a major mental breakdown near the end, and I think that breakdown was so better represented in um was so much better represented in the visual medium. And also
Hmm.
on top of that, you have, I mean, it's Percy Jackson, the Flash, and
Oh,
Hermione. It's
oh
a
my
nerd
god.
dream.
Oh my gosh.
It,
Oh my
it's
god.
absolutely fantastic.
Oh my gosh. That is beautiful. Oh man. So my
I
last
think
honorable mention. Yes.
No, go on, go on.
Oh, oh, my last honorable mention is I thought long and hard on this one because I'm remembering movies as we're talking. My last one is another, ironically, another book movie that I'm not gonna say it was better than the book. I think the book is still better, but it was a good like 50 to 49% chance.
I
49
get you.
was
I
the book,
get you.
and it was Stargirl, and it was a
Yo, you
small.
know what? I didn't. Is that was that on Disney Plus?
Yes, it was. It was.
I did not watch that one. But if you recommend it, I will definitely.
I am a sucker for love. I'm a romance lover. I love it. And
I feel you.
and when I watched, so I read Stargirl like back in middle school, and I had this crush on this girl who also read it with, and it was I don't know why.
Oh,
It was like a little kid going exploding in his mind. He's going through adolescence. He's like, oh my, what is this like? Whoa, this girl reminds me of her, and I'm like that, right? And
uh-huh. Oh, I feel. Ah,
uh, so
you
when I
salty.
Yeah. So when I watch this movie again, I'm watching this movie. I'm like, this is exactly how I imagined it as a kid. This is what I am. Because you know when you read a book and you imagine the book in your head, like you can see the
Oh,
characters and all that.
absolutely, absolutely.
It was like that, and I was like, this is the best retelling of a book I ever seen. They
Uh-huh.
they
I
almost did everything from the book, and in the parts that they didn't and the part they added, I was totally cool with it. I'm like, this rocks
no,
anyways.
that's cool as hell, man.
I loved it. I quite
Super
loved
glad to
it.
hear that. And then my last honorable mention goes to fun
Boom.
fact: the last five-star live action movie that Disney ever made, and that is the 2003 masterpiece Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh my goodness, God! I watched all of them recently.
Uh huh.
Oh my gosh, they're so.
It's so good. Don't get, well, for the record, I am a hater of the fifth movie. I do not care for the fifth movie, and
Really.
I definitely believe that it's one of those franchises. It didn't get any better. It peaked with the first one, but I do agree that the franchise is fine. But that first movie, there is not a flaw. There's
Hmm.
just there's
It's.
no flaw with it. It's God, it's so good.
I'm gonna disagree. My thing with that franchise, it can make movies forever, and I will keep watching it. I think
Well, okay.
that's
Here's the
just me.
thing.
That's me personally. I
I
understand. Yeah.
would hypothetically I would agree, but again, like I said, I
Hmm.
hated the fifth one. The characters, those two new characters, I didn't care about. It was humor that I was better fit for a Despicable Me sequel than a
Hmm.
Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I after rewatching it, I love the fun of that movie. When you
Oh,
watch Pirates of the Caribbean and you feel like you had a fun day.
oh,
Like,
absolutely. The first movie is fun put
hmm
into a cinema.
it really is. It
All
so
right.
is.
It's the moment you've all been waiting.
Who knows what we picked? I mean, we know our
I
own,
know.
but I don't know
I know
even
what I
yours.
picked.
I know what I picked out, but you don't know.
All
So,
right. Lay it on me. What is
mm,
your number one movie of all time?
number one movies of all times. You'll probably expect it or not. Who knows? Is Star Wars. I saw it
Oh,
coming, but Revenge of the Sith. There it is. There's the last
you
prequel
know
movie.
what? You know what?
What?
I kind of suspected it after the prequel, after the
Mm-hmm.
stopping of the mentions of the prequels. I was like,
Mm-hmm. You're like,
I
where's it
bet you.
coming, dude?
Yeah.
That's my. If I ever had to just be stuck with one movie forever and ever, and I only can watch that movie, I'll be completely fine. I love everything about that movie. I love the slowly turning of the characters. And for example, after watching the Clone Wars, you just get a new crazy appreciation of that
Yeah,
movie for me
that's the thing.
personally.
I do feel like everyone's told me, and I think it's one of those times that everyone is right. The second I watch the Clone Wars, I'm gonna watch episode 3, and my mind's going to be blown.
It so is because like when you see it, so let's talk about the pre Clone Wars. So you're watching this movie and you're like, there's so much. You've seen this kid who's just grown up but doesn't but he thinks he's all grown up. And it's like you can relate because we all at some point like as us seniors, we're told that we're adults, but we're not. We're really just
Absolutely.
kids still. So seeing someone else deal with that on the big screens is like I can relate, and seeing them try to fix everything, just trying to
Yep.
I can find a solution. You agree, and then you just see this downfall, and you see the horrors, and you just see the evilness, and you go to yourself, I don't think I could ever do that, but all of them believe that he could never do that. Just the intensity and the music. I'm a lover of music
Oh,
and movies. I may
yeah.
have brought it up, but the music of that movie astounds me. I still to this day replay it sometimes when I'm doing nothing. When you
Hmm.
hear the march into that castle, you're bum bum bum, and you just hear that
Uh-huh.
going, and you're like, oh, things about to get crazy. Things about to be crazy. And then you have Duel of the Fates. You're like, hold up, these are brothers. These are This is a mentor and a student. This is everything. You see their battle. You're like, this. It's amazing, and it's seeing them fight. It can almost bring a tear to your eye because you're like, this is like if you and your best friend just one day had a fight and just duke it out, and only one can leave. Like it's just that
Yeah.
intensity, and you're like,
That is exactly what it feels like. I fully agree.
and it's the movie that just goes, they gave it their all, and I loved their all. And it's this
Hmm.
day, and I'll even tell you what, there'll be days in this movie where I'll look at it and I can tell you where things just don't make sense, and even then I still love it. There's like my greatest example was like, what if they just told him, what if Mace Windu, for example, just didn't try to kill Chancellor, but instead just said, "Okay, we'll take him to court," and they just took him to court. Like I always like to hypothetically imagine what would happen. Like is this Chancellor in
Totally.
in handcuffs, standing for trial? It's like, I didn't think you guys would actually do this. Yeah, I'm a Sith Lord. My evidence, what is your protection? Well, I I can end
Yeah.
the war. You caused the war. You're going to jail, execution. And it's like, oh, well, movie's good. Anakin has children. He leaves the order. We're all good. Or something
And
like
we're
that.
all good
That's the
there.
perfect movie. And then we're done. It's like, even then, with that entire idea in my head, I can still go, I love the movie no matter what. Even for all of its flaws, imperfections, it's a great movie.
Yep. I
It's a great
could
movie.
not agree more.
You're number one. Hit us with it. Bam us with it.
It's funny that you said you can love it beside its imperfections. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a movie that I watched probably, if I had to guess, for the first time when I was 5.
Ooh.
And I
Same,
definitely do
same.
think it embedded itself into my brain.
Same here,
And I
man. Same
definitely do
here.
think because of that I loved. That absolutely, without an ounce of doubt in my mind, goes to the 1992 animated Disney feature film
He's gonna say it.
Aladdin.
I knew it. Oh my,
What?
yeah.
Yeah, so movie is kind of what I've based my life on.
I could tell.
That's a joke, but for real though, this movie
Hmm.
embedded itself into me as a kid, and I loved all the characters. I loved. I mean, obviously, there's one character I'm thinking of, and yeah, let's just say it. If I'm ever half as talented as Robin Williams is
Hmm.
in the media, I know I will have been successful. And Genie is probably, if we want, Genie is probably the best character in all of this.
Of
Let's be
course,
real.
of course. It's
He's so the charisma that just oozes from him. And all the other characters are pretty cool too. Aladdin can be a little boring at times, but for the most
hmm
part, he's an awesome protagonist, and there's never a time where you're not rooting for him.
hmm
Jasmine is the best Disney princess, and I will happily fight anyone on that. Jafar is a pretty bomb ass villain, and I'd say that everyone else is super fun and super enjoyable.
Yes.
There and now it's funny, I've mentioned a lot of movies, obviously, and actually, I think if you wanted to just like on a mathematical scale, I actually think Aladdin might be the worst, quote worst on here, and maybe not the worst, but in the lower percentile, because I do agree that there are definitely some parts that aren't as good, that are notably not as good as the other. The intro's a
Mm-hmm.
little meh. I think while I love Jasmine's introduction scene is kind of
Mm-hmm.
boring
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie, every bit of it has enthralled me. And you know how I said that Pure Imagination is probably the greatest song of all time?
Yeah.
Well, the second greatest song of all time is A Whole New World. Oh my god.
Really? That I
It tear I will
Wow.
sing that in the shower and I will get sad that I can't sing because I want to sing
I
that
am
right.
amazed. Being honest, I, I, I rarely hear that. I thought the song show hitter was the "Friend Like Me" song. Really, I am
No, here's the
surprised.
thing. You'll think that for two reasons.
Ooh,
A,
ooh.
and for the record, I'm not tut-tutting you, scolding you or anything,
No,
but
no, 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 no. This
no,
is
no, no.
perfect.
There's two big reasons for that.
Mm-hmm.
A, pertaining to you more likely, is the fact that the friend like me scene in the reboot was probably the best scene in that live action remake because
I actually didn't see it. Being honest.
Will Smith did an okay job, and I definitely think
Yeah,
that
I
friend
liked
like
it.
me
I
was
liked his.
super fun.
I liked his remix of it. I liked how he's like made it his own. I do
I
enjoy
think yeah,
that.
I fully agree.
That
But
was
then
the best
here's the
call.
other thing: Al- Aladdin the musical, like on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
uh it's not terrible, but it
Mm.
has a major its biggest flaw is the fact that they act like Genie is the main character because they know it's the most beloved character, and
Mm.
they beat Genie to
Oh, so they
death.
don't treat him like the supporting character that he technically was. He was just a supporting character in the movie.
Yes, and that is shown in the fact that the tagline for the musical isn't the diamond in the rough or anything like that. The tagline for the musical is a friend like me, and the friend like me,
Oh.
the rewrite of friend like me on Broadway is like 10 minutes long.
Oh, that's too long.
Which don't
That.
get me wrong, it could work hypothetically, but blah 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 blah. But keep in mind, A Whole New World is the greatest song of all time, but every other song on there is a banger. I'm
Oh,
not
yes.
hating on Friend Like Me. A
No,
Friend Like Me is
you're just saying
awesome.
it's over kind of how it's
Yeah,
kind of overused and it's overproduced. It's kind of been too much.
absolutely.
That's fair.
Um,
That is fair.
Friend Like Me. Prince Ali is awesome. The
Oh.
reprise of Prince Ali done by Jafar near the end is really cool, and I actually wish we
Oh.
had more Jafar singing in that movie.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just it is the movie that has shaped my personality. It's the movie that it was the first movie that made me go, huh, I wonder how this was made. It was the first movie that got me into actors in the form of Robin Williams. I mean, for
Mm.
Christ's sake, the quote, I got my class ring like 6 months ago, and the quote on the inside is A Whole New World. I
Oh.
love this movie with every fiber of my being.
I'm gonna be honest. As long as I've known you, I can for sure see the imprints of that movie on you. Your style of humor is a lot like that movie. I can tell you that. So
That,
I
Terrence,
can support
that
that.
is the biggest compliment
I
you
can
could have given
support that.
me.
It's your style is it's your own, but I can see the inspiration where it's that I'm not a good description of humor, but it's this style where you make these puns and they're just good puns. And I'm a guy who loves puns. And you just throw
Thank
them in
you,
like perfect land darts. And then you do
Terrence.
another
I'm actually
joke. And
blushing over here.
you better be. Yeah, that I can see that in you. And
Thank you so much.
I think I encourage everyone who's listening to just do this with someone. Just talk about your favorite movies because
Oh,
you'll start to see a lot about each other and how your personalities interact. Because how you watch a movie shows a little bit how you think, how you act. Like I
I
go in.
could not agree more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, this is gonna be our longest one yet, and I'm kind of happy with it being the longest one because I
Hell
think
yeah.
it's jam packed with great discussion. Thank you, Ethan. Would you like
Oh
to
no,
say
dude, Aaron,
anything?
all the thanks goes to you. Thank you for
No, no,
having me
no,
this
no. You
round.
you called me up, and I was like, I'm ready to get some. Oh, it's gonna be amazing, and then it was. Would you like
Oh,
to
dude.
say anything before we end this?
I mean, I don't have anything to plug or anything. If that's what you're, I haven't uploaded to my YouTube channel in dead. So now,
Mhm.
no, I mean, I don't know. Be good people out there. If you're registered to vote, make sure to do that. You know, stuff like that.
Nice, nice.
Just be,
Thank.
just be a cool person.
Just be a cool person. That's the tagline of this one. That's all it's gonna. The description only says that. Just be a cool person. I'm only gonna write that. Thank you.
Hell
Thank
yeah.
you all out there for listening. Follow along. If you listened all the way, type in the type in the comments carrot, and just to see if you
I like
watched it all the
carrot.
way.
Carrot's
Yeah,
excellent.
yeah, and I hope you all enjoyed this movie-tastic episode of Potato Parlay. Have a lovely Halloween. Be
Oh yeah,
safe.
I
Yeah,
completely forgot. Yeah, Halloween,
yeah,
man.
yeah. This is not a Halloween special. Not at all. We talked a little bit about horror, but I maybe
Little
next year I'll
sprinkle,
go. Next year I'll do it. Next
maybe,
year I'll play it.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
All right,
have
bye bye,
a
y'all.
bye bye, and my classic au revoir, goodbye, adios, aloha. Uh,
Wale for my Latin students.
woo, goodbye.